All right, so, Kane, what greeting would you like to do with me this morning? Good morning, Kane. Gabriella, what greeting would you like to do with me this morning? Okay, air hug, thank you. Ashlyn, what greeting would you like to do? Air hug, thank you. I need some hugs today. Amani? Hi, good morning, Amani. Quentin? Good morning, Quentin. Zalia? Hi, good morning. Okay, Kendra? Good morning. Wilfred? Okay, good morning, Wilfred. Jamarcus? Good morning, Jamarcus. And Emily? All right, guys, so we're going to choose who's going to do the greeting for all of us today. Batman. Oh, is Quentin here? Yeah, Quentin. Quentin, you get to do the greetings today, okay? Or I'll start and then you'll go first. Our greeting today is, just a simple wave, okay? So, good morning, Quentin. Good. You'll unmute your mic because you're going to say good morning to Kane. So, please say good morning to Kane and give him a nice wave.
Good morning, Kane.
Good job.
Good morning, Emily.
Good job, guys. I feel so bad for you guys. All of you are just like rubbing your eyes, and I'm tired too, man. I'm really tired. Okay, let's see who is gonna do Marvin today. Batman. Oh, Quentin, it is your day. Quentin, do you have a pet? No? You want to tell us about your dream pet? Like, what pet would you like your parents to get you?
A dog.
A dog? Do you know what you would name it? Queen Jr. Okay. Would anyone like to ask Quentin what he would like to do with his dream dog? Or does anyone have a question for Quentin? Okay, Wilfred, thank you for saving the day. You want to ask Quentin a question?
Where would you carry it out to walk?
Oh, where would you go to walk it? Would you just like go outside or would you take it to like a dog park?
I'll just take it out for a walk.
Okay, he'll just go outside. Thank you, Wilfred. And Kendra, you can ask Quentin your question now.
What would you do with your dog if it wouldn't stop barking?
What would you do if it wouldn't stop barking?
Well, I would spray it with some water.
He'd spray it with some water. You guys are so funny with that water bottle sprayers. Poor cats and dogs. And finally, Zalia, go ahead.
Why would you spray a dog with water?
Why would you spray the dog with water?
And also,
go ahead, Zalia.
I just tell my dog to be quiet and she listens.
Yeah.
Well, what if it don't be quiet?
Yeah, what if it don't be quiet?
Oh, I'm gonna grab something that she don't like.
That's funny. All right, thank you so much, Quentin, for doing Marvin today. Like I said, I know we're up early and we're all tired, but I got some good news for you guys today once we do the schedule, all right? Let's do question of the day. Batman. Jamarcus got question of the day. So let me choose it. Okay. Our question of the day is boo. So what's your favorite part of the day? I'm a morning person. I love mornings. I love mornings. So Jamarcus, what's your favorite part of the day?
To go run around.
So like after school, kind of like evenings? That's like your favorite part of the day? Okay. Kane, would you like to tell us what your favorite part of the day is?
Where we take a 1 hour break.
So lunch. Okay. Evening, lunch. All right. Thank you, Kane. Ashlyn, what's your favorite part of the day?
The mornings.
Mornings? Yay, I love morning people. Okay, Kane and Ashlyn, you may mute. Amani, what's your favorite part of the day?
I like mornings.
You like mornings? Okay, thanks. Quentin, what's your favorite part of the day?
My favorite thing is go take a 1 hour break so I can run tired to take a 1 hour nap.
Oh, okay, so lunchtime, so you're more of like an evening person. Okay, Zalia, what's your favorite part of the day? Give her 1 second.
I don't have a favorite part of the day. I basically sleep at day and just play all night.
Okay, so she's just like, whatever. I don't have a favorite part. All right, Zelia. Wilfred, what's your favorite part of the day?
When all of this stuff is done.
Oh, at 2 o'clock when school is over. That's his favorite part. Okay. Emily, what's your favorite part of the day?
The night when it's darker.
Okay, so Emily's a night owl. All right. Kendra?
Day. Morning.
So mornings?
Yeah.
Gabriella? What's your favorite part of the day?
My favorite part of the day is the evening because at the evening, Dad comes, and when Dad comes, it all falls together. And by that, I mean Dad watches the baby, while me and Stephanie can come up here and paint.
Cool. So she kind of likes like the evening when Daddy gets home. Okay. Drake, what's your favorite part of the day?
I don't know. I stay up all day, stay up all night, and then I'm still up in the morning.
You're a human. How do you not go to sleep?
I don't know. No, I do go to sleep, but it's really hard for me to.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Drake.
It's
It's so funny because I'm such a morning person. Like I'm really goofy and annoying in the morning because I'm so happy. And my husband absolutely like he hisses at the sun in the morning because he hates mornings. So he can't stand me in the morning. So I'm like, wake up. And I'll push him and he'll get really, really mad at me. All right, guys, that was question of the day. So we're going to move on into schedule and I'm going to tell you, I got some good news for you guys. Okay, so 8 o'clock morning meeting. Just realized I didn't do the date in the beginning. So today is August 25th, 2020, 10th day of school. At 8:25, we'll be doing Poem of the Week. If you notice, we don't have spelling in our schedule today. That is because you'll do one of the spelling games at home. And there's a reason why. Let me get to it. So right after Poem of the Week and the pledge, we'll take our 5-minute break. And then we'll come back and we'll immediately start our reading block. So you'll come after your break with your My View textbook. Then at 9 o'clock, we'll break off into small groups. And then at 9:30, we'll have lunch. There's a reason why we're having an extremely early lunch. Because today, you are only having a 30-minute lunch. And I'll tell you why in a minute. At 10 o'clock, we'll come back and we'll do math. 10:30 math block. 11 o'clock is math rotations. 11:30 is science. 12 o'clock is group reading. And then 12:15 is final thoughts. The reason why is today you guys are leaving an hour and a half early. So we're not doing it until 2 o'clock. Today we're only doing it until 12:30 because Mrs. Nagy has an extremely important meeting at 1 o'clock today. Okay? So that's kind of why our lunch is a little bit shorter. It's because you get off of school almost 2 hours early. Okay? So let's bust out this pledge right quick and this poem, and then you guys can take your first 5-minute break, okay? So everybody unmute your mics. Mute our mics. All right, in Mrs. Nagy's class, we use kind words and work quietly. We work hard and help. We are kind, happy, and respectful. We respect our classroom and always keep it clean. We are a great classroom. Good job, guys. Mute your mic. All right. The poem of the week is All My Excuses. My mother ran my homework through the washer and the dryer. An airplane crashed into our house. My homework caught on fire. Tornadoes blew my notes away. Volcanoes struck our town. My notes were taken hostage by an evil killer clown. I worked on these excuses so long my teacher said, I think you'll find it easier to do the work instead. All right, guys, come back to me at 8:26. All right, guys. Okay, so the page that we are opening up to today in our My View textbook is page 19. Okay, so while you guys are getting to page 19, I am going to start sharing my screen because I need to show you the slides. So it's like this page right here. You kind of see like a story, and it's called Grandma and the Great Gourd. All right, so you should be kind of like on the story Grandma and the Great Gourd. We're not reading the story, okay? What we do on the first day when we're introduced to a story is we do what is called a picture walk and prediction. So I'm going to pull up my slide right quick and we will start the class. Okay, so today's lesson is about the importance of illustrations, okay? Illustrations just means pictures, okay? You should all know that. Illustrations are just the pictures in books, okay? And not a lot of people realize this or they don't pay attention to it, but illustrations are extremely important to understanding a story, okay? Because they tell us what the story is about. Okay, so today's lesson objective is to comprehend or understand the importance of illustrations or pictures in genre to a text, okay? So we're going to try to discuss how stories, pictures, and knowing which genre it is, like horror, suspense, is important to understanding our story, okay? You don't need to know the standard. That's for Miss Mass. My goal today is to make sure that after this lesson, you guys can say, I can understand the importance of illustrations and genre to a text. So we're going to do a self-assessment right now, and we're going to use our fingers. So when Miss Nagy reads the self-assessment, you're going to put up 1 to 2 fingers if you don't understand, 3 fingers if you're like, yeah, I kind of understand, or 4 or 5 fingers like, okay, Miss Nagy, I'm pretty smart in this area. So using your fingers on a scale of 1 to 10, how well can you predict what a story will be about based only on its pictures? So show me your rating right now. So if you were told by the teacher, hey, I want you to look at these pictures in this story and I want you to make a prediction of what this story will be, how confident are you that you can do that? Okay, I got about 5s. I got a lot of 5s, okay? I got a 1, and I appreciate the honesty in that. I got a couple of 3s. Okay, so now that you know where you are in the beginning, we'll take another, you're good, Quentin, we'll take another self-assessment at the end, and we'll see if you feel more confident. So our essential question today is, why are illustrations or pictures important to a story? Okay, so at this time, I'm going to give you about a full minute to think about your answer to this question before we respond. So I want you to think right now for about 1 minute why you think pictures are important to a story. Okay, and your minute starts now. I love all the hands. That means that you guys are on point today. Okay. So why?
You won't know what's gonna happen. So the pictures basically tell you what's going on. So if you just see the words there, then it's just blank.
Okay. So kind of like pictures. Okay.
It might be if for you to write on it for something, or just there if somebody broke it or something.
Okay. All right. Drake, you want to add to that? Why do you think pictures are important to a story? Thank you so much, Wilfred.
Probably for if you don't know how to read, you can just look by the pictures.
Good. You know, that's actually a reading strategy that teachers teach, younger kids like in kindergarten and first grade, because, they're not as good as readers as you guys are. So oftentimes when they come to a word or a page they don't understand, they can use the pictures to figure out what the words are saying. Good job, Drake. Quentin, you may go, and then it will be Amani.
Because it shows you what they're doing, and it shows you what they can probably do, what you can probably do as well.
Good. So it kind of shows you what the characters are doing. I like that, Quentin. Amani, you want to share your opinion?
Because the authors and things.
No, that's a good point. Authors pick their pictures, when authors ask illustrators who draw the pictures to do certain pictures for their book, they don't choose that lightly. They want the pictures to portray what is happening in the book. Thank you, Amani. Ashlyn and then Connor, and then we'll have to move on because we don't want to start falling behind like we did yesterday.
Or like when if you don't know, like it can tell you something that you don't know or something.
Yeah, it tells us stuff that we need to understand better, stuff that we essentially probably don't really know about. And finally, Connor, and we'll move on.
Because and if there's a book that doesn't show any pictures, they don't know what's going on.
Kind of, they probably could understand a little bit about what's going on if they read the words, but pictures help us to visualize. Thank you, Connor. So the reason why pictures are so important is, like I said, pictures help us to visualize what our author is writing, okay? And pictures also help us to understand words that we probably do not understand. So, for example, if we were reading a book and we came around the word, he was furious. You guys are probably smart and know what furious means. But if there was a person who did not know what that was, they could probably look at the picture and see this person like really mad, intense, and know that furious means anger. So pictures are so important, guys. And I loved all your responses. So we're now going to move on. And we pretty much just talked about what we know about illustrations. And I'm just going to document what you guys said. You said that pictures tell us what is going to happen next, what characters are feeling, and about something we may not know. Okay, so that is amazing input. Now, my next question is, what do we want to learn about the importance of illustrations? This one's kind of tricky, but what would we like to learn? Oh, Jamarcus is your, oh, no, you were stretching. Would someone like to ask what they probably would like to learn about illustrations? Okay, Zalia, would you like to ask your question about something you might want to learn about the importance of illustration?
Yes.
Okay, ask us your question and then I'll document it on the slide.
Okay. Well, why do people always try to find a way to try to copy on other people's things sometimes?
Okay, so kind of like, why do people copy other people's pictures?
Yes.
Okay, so it could be kind of because pictures or emotions have to show a specific thing. So if someone was to draw a picture of someone angry and another person wanted to draw a picture of something angry, the pictures will be similar, because it's conveying the same feeling. So that's kind of why people may copy other people's pictures. Thank you, Zalia. Quentin, were you able to unmute your mic?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to ask your question?
It could be fiction or non-fiction.
What, like a picture? Oh, like do fiction and nonfiction books have pictures? Is what you? That's a good one, and I'm pretty sure that both nonfiction and fiction have pictures, because our stories are fiction stories like Little Red Riding Hood has pictures, and our nonfiction stories, like say for example a biography on Martin Luther King Jr., would have a picture of him, right? Because we would want to see what he looks like. So yes, nonfiction and nonfiction stories have pictures. All right. So everybody should be turned to page 19 at this time. Page 19. And most of you are there, okay? So today we're going to do what is called a picture walk. What we will do before every reading of a new story is go on what is called a picture walk. A picture walk is when you flip through a story page by page and try to predict what the story will be about based on the pictures or the illustrations and not the words. Today we will be doing a picture walk of the story Grandma and the Great Gourd. After our picture walk, we will make a prediction as to what we think our story is going to be about. Okay, so that's our objective today. Now, what I want you to do is take your finger and put it on the top corner of page 19 where it says genre. Okay, this genre today is called a traditional tale. And I want to see if you guys know what a traditional tale is before I teach you. Who can tell me what a traditional tale is? Kendra, did you have your hand up or you were kind of like hesitating? What is a traditional tale?
It's like from people. It's like people from all around the world who tell stories.
I love that. Yeah, so it's like every culture has like their traditional tales. Good job, Kendra. Drake?
It's like a tradition for a lot of people around the world, and they just...
Yeah, it could be educational. It could be educational because traditional tales kind of tell us like a lesson. So good job, Drake. On every story's title, so throughout our book, when we're introduced to a new story, on every story's title page, it will identify the genre of the text. Grandma and the Great Gourd is a traditional tale. What is a traditional tale? And most of you just told me what it is. So I will now read you the definition of what a traditional tale is. A traditional tale is a story that has been told and retold for many years. I mean, from great-great-grandpa all the way down to the youngest son, and becomes a story that almost everyone knows. Traditional tales are also known as fairy tales or folk tales. Some examples are Little Red Riding Hood and Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So what we'll do now is we will watch a quick video on some examples of traditional tale.
Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Tortoise and the Hare. These are all examples of traditional literature. These are imagined stories that are passed down over many years. Cinderella, the Frog Prince, The Little Mermaid. These are all examples of fairy tales. A fairy tale is a type of traditional literature. In these stories, there's often magic, princes and princesses, and good always wins over evil. Many Disney movies are based on fairy tales. Another type of traditional literature is folk tales. Jack and the Beanstalk, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Little Red Riding Hood. These are all examples of folk tales, which are stories passed down over time, and the evil characters always lose. Fables are similar to folk and fairy tales, but they always include an important lesson, which is called a moral. Fables also have talking animals and are usually written about one important event. The Tortoise and the Hare, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, and The Crow and the Pitcher are all great examples of fables. What else do traditional literature genres have in common? Well, these stories usually begin and end in a very specific way, with recurring phrases like once upon a time, a long, long time ago, long ago in a faraway land, everyone knows, happily ever after, and so the story goes, but that's another story, and many others. These phrases are used over and over. They help the reader prepare their brain for the stories being told. When we read or listen to traditional literature stories, we can connect them to our everyday lives. No, we aren't kings or queens, and we don't know any talking animals, but the lessons and experiences the characters encounter aren't so different from our daily lives. Have you ever felt down in the dumps about your size, hair, or clothes? Then you can relate to the ugly duckling, who we all know turned into a beautiful creature. Maybe you feel like your brothers and sisters are always picking on you. Put yourself in poor Cinderella's shoes. If you've ever worked together with a sibling to solve a problem, then you aren't much different from Hansel or Gretel. Remember, fairy tales, folk tales, and fables are all imagined stories passed down over time. They were first told so long ago, even your grandparents weren't born yet. Some stories contain royalty, magic, talking animals, or a moral or lesson. Good overcomes evil, and the reader can connect the events in the stories to his or her daily life. What's your favorite traditional literature story?
Okay, so that was our video today. And so it pretty much just told us some examples of what traditional tales are to help us kind of understand further what a traditional tale is. So the only takeaway that you need from that is that pretty much a lot of the stories that you've already read, or if you watched a Disney movie, it's a fairy tale or it's a traditional tale. Okay, they're books written for entertainment. They're not there for us to learn facts. They're there for entertainment. So I have a question for you guys. How is knowing that Grandma and the Great Gourd is a traditional tale going to affect what the story is about? Gabriella?
Hearing it, it probably sounds like a folk tale and a fairy tale.
It's going to sound like a folk tale and a fairy tale. So from this story, we're not going to learn no facts, okay? Thank you, Gabriella. Yes, so pretty much what I was getting at with that question is when we make our prediction today, if we have time, our prediction or our story is not going to be based on someone who actually lived once, okay? These are not nonfiction stories. These are fiction stories, okay? Okay, so now we will begin our picture walk. I have my cold call jar here, and pretty much I'll pull out a stick, and the person who I pull out their stick will describe to me the picture that they see on the specific page that we're on and how they think it's going to affect the story, okay? So Mrs. Nagy always does the first page, so she'll do page 19. So on page 19, I see this older woman. She's wearing kind of like a white dress, so maybe she's going to a wedding. And I see a lion and I see a tiger and a bear, so maybe they're stopping her from going to her wedding. Maybe. I'm not going to tell you if that's true or not because I've already read this story. But I don't know, maybe those tigers and bears are trying to stop her from getting married. Okay, so we're going to turn to page 20 and 21 now. I'm going to pull out the first stick. Okay, where is Zelia? Zelia, what do you see on page 20 and 21? What do you see in the pictures? And how do you think this is kind of like affect the story?
I see a black dog, and she's still wearing a white dress.
Okay, cool.
And I see a peacock.
Good. Okay, so only one person responds per page when they're called, so you don't have to raise your hands, guys. So Zelia, my question is you kind of see this dog, you see this peacock, and I think we see an elephant in the back. Do we think she's in a city? Or where do we think she is, Zelia? So she's kind of
village.
Yeah, she's in a village. So are we going to see, give me a like a head nod if you think we're going to see a car or a train in this story. No. Okay? So now we know based off of the pictures this woman does not live in the city. Let's turn to page 22 and 23 and I'll call on someone new. Gabriella. So, Gabriella, what do you see on page 22 and 23?
I see on page 22, like, this big bird and the peacock with a woman and two dogs and two birds.
Good. So, how do you think that's going to affect our story?
Kind of looks like a folk's tale.
It looks kind of like a folk tale, right? And I'm thinking maybe those dogs might be important to the story. I don't know. We're seeing a lot of animals. A lot of animals. I wonder if animals have a significance to this story. All right, thank you, Gabriella. You may mute your mic. Let's turn to page 24 and 25, and the person describing will be Cervantes. So that animal right there is a fox. Okay, so that animal is a fox. And what do we normally know about foxes, Cervantes, when they're in a story? Are they normally good characters or bad characters? A fox.
Bad.
They're normally bad, right? They're sneaky, they're conniving. So if we see a fox, what do you think this character is gonna do in this story? You think he's gonna be good or bad?
Bad to me.
Probably bad. Okay. All right. Thank you, Cervantes. Okay. So let's turn to page 26. The next person going is Connor. Is Connor with us? Okay. So Connor, you'll unmute your mic and you'll tell us what you see on page 26.
She's in the forest, and I think she heard something, and I see a bear shadow behind her.
Okay.
With beautiful flowers and a bush next to a tree.
Good. So we see a bear behind her, right? And let's look at her face. Does she look happy?
No.
No. So do we think that bear is a friendly character or a dangerous character? Like, would you be safe if you met a bear in the forest? No, right? So I'm thinking that bear is not so friendly. And she's still in that white dress. So I wonder if these animals are stopping her from getting married. But then again, I haven't seen a husband yet, so I don't know. All right, let's turn the page to 28 and 29. And let's see who's going next. Wilfred. Where's my buddy Wilfred at? Okay, there you go. So, Wilfred, can you tell us what you see on pages 28 and 29?
It looks like a tiger,
Mm-hmm.
a female, because it doesn't have those, hair around it.
Okay. Oh, the lion is the only one who has the mane. Tiger males don't have manes. So that could be a male or a female. But Wilfred, do you think that this tiger is friendly or unfriendly? Do you think it's going to help her in the forest or it wants to eat her?
Eat her, probably.
Probably. So I'm starting to think that this woman is not so safe in this forest, right? Because I know if I saw a tiger, I would not feel safe. And her face doesn't look that happy either. If this was a friendly character, she would be smiling, not frowning. All right, let's turn the page to page 30 and 31. And the next person going is Quentin. So, Quentin, can you unmute your mic and tell us what you see on page 30 and 31?
Bones from a fish and avocado.
Okay, so weird, right? She looks like she's eating some fish bones. Or maybe she ate all of the fish meat off the bones.
Yeah.
Maybe. What do you see in the next picture, though?
Two type of dogs sitting or something.
So these dogs keep popping up. Do we think that these dogs are probably important to this story?
Maybe. They look like it would be because they look like it would be her dogs. But she's wearing white and her hair is a little bit black.
Okay. So maybe since these animals in the forest are dangerous, maybe somewhere in the story her dogs might have to save her.
Yeah, like if they put her in the water, just make her step back and go in the water, and she don't know.
Good. So now we're going to turn to page 33. And Quentin, can you unmute your mic and tell us what you see on page 33?
So it looks like
She has some grapes, and there's a tiger with her. She's smiling for some reason. What I think is happening, the tiger is hiding. Or the tiger might be friendly, I don't know.
Okay. So how do you think what's happening in this picture is going to affect our story? Do you think the tiger is hiding or maybe she's hiding? Do you think the tiger can see her?
Obviously he can.
You think he can see her?
It's obvious.
Okay. So guys, we ran out of time for our picture walking predictions, so we're gonna finish our picture walking predictions tomorrow. But so far you guys are doing really good about trying to predict what this story is about based off of the pictures. So what we will do now is I will call those who will stay in the meeting and those who will return in 10 minutes. Okay, so my first small group. Let me pull up our story today. So yesterday we kind of talked about our vocabulary, right? And we were talking about cupboards and the fact that our story is going to be about this bear who runs out of an ingredient for his recipe, and he has to figure out how to solve this, okay? So just like our story earlier with Grandma and the Great Gourd, the first thing that we will be doing today is a picture walk of our story, okay? So like I said, a picture walk is simply looking only at the pictures of a book to predict what will happen next, okay? So we're going to begin our picture walk, and I am going to call on one of you individually to look at a picture and tell me what you see and how you think it's going to affect the story, or what you think is going to happen in the story based off of this picture. All right, so can I have Kane tell me what he sees in this picture?
He's making food.
Okay, so what type of food is he making?
Pies. Here we go.
Okay, so he's making pies. Okay, Jamarcus, you'll do the second page. So keep your mic unmuted for right now. Okay, so we see him making pies. Maybe he's making a recipe. And we notice that he's got a lot of pies. A lot of pies. Maybe that's the reason why he runs out of an ingredient, because he made a ton of pies. All right, so Jamarcus, can you tell me what you see in this picture?
He is making something but dumping it out. I think he's got burnt.
But what do we see right here? What does this look like?
A meatball.
It's actually a berry, buddy. It's actually a berry. So, like fruit pies. But we only see one. So what do we think just happened? We only see...
He just burned himself.
So you think maybe he burned himself? Okay. Yep. I'm thinking since he was making all them pies that maybe he ran out of pie filling. I'm thinking maybe he ran out of pie filling. But maybe he did burn himself. Who knows? Okay. This picture's kind of odd. So let's have Zelia. Zelia, what do you see in this picture?
We see little trees.
We see little trees. So maybe our bear is out.
Yes.
So maybe these are like trees that used to have berries on it or something. Maybe our little bear friend is trying to find more berries. Okay. What do we see here? Let's choose another person. What do we see here, Noah? Our bear kind of looks worried here. I'm thinking that he's probably in winter or something because the trees look dead. And he looks really scared that he doesn't have food. So I'm wondering if he's trying to eat before he hibernates. Okay, so we have about one more picture that we can do. And then our next group is coming in. So we have this picture right here. And the bear still looks really, really concerned. He looks really scared. And I think this thing right here is a skunk or something. So I'm wondering if the skunk is going to spray him, or the skunk is worried that his dear friend doesn't have any more berries for his pie. So tomorrow we will be finishing up our picture walking prediction for our berries story. If you were with me in the first group, you may sign off and take you will come back to me at 9:30, my first group, okay? So you can sign off and you come back to me at 9:30, guys. Okay, go ahead. If you are my second group, I will now show you the story that we were reading yesterday. So I'm going to call on you individually to describe the picture to me. So the first one that I would like to describe the picture is, okay, so Kendra, can you tell me what's happening in this picture? Okay.
There's a farm, and there's a bunch of animals on the farm.
Okay, so
it has labels of the things.
Okay, good. So maybe this story doesn't take place in the city. Maybe it takes place in the country. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You may mute yourself. Cervantes, what do you see in this picture?
It's a pig and I think a duck reading a book to a little pig. And it's a cat, I think, listening.
So why do we think we see our duck reading a book? That's really weird. But why do we think we see a duck reading a book?
Because probably story fake.
Okay, so maybe he's reading the animals a storybook, or maybe he just really likes to learn. Okay, good job. Thank you, Cervantes. You may mute. Okay, Ashlyn, what do you see in this picture?
I see a man and a goat and a sheep and a farm.
Okay, so we're kind of like still on we're on the farm, right? We just see all these animals. Okay, good. Thank you. Kendra, what do we see here? What do we kind of see here?
I see I see the words limp and lettuce.
So it has limp lettuce. So when a vegetable is limp, it means it's dying. And this farmer, does he look happy or does he look sad or frustrated?
No.
So maybe his plants, maybe his plants are dying. Maybe his plants are dying. Thank you, Kendra. You may mute. Cervantes, what do you see here?
I think a farmer teaching a duck how to read.
Okay, maybe our farmer is teaching our duck how to read. Okay, thank you. You may mute. Ashlyn, what do you see here?
I see a rice plant and a duck in a field and a man.
Okay, so
unhappy.
He definitely looks unhappy. Maybe this duck is telling him your plants are dying, or maybe that he needs to choose a better plant. Maybe he chose the wrong plant for the wrong soil. Okay, thank you, Ashlyn. Kendra, can you tell me what you see here?
I see a duck in the water and the farmer.
Okay, so maybe that duck is about to take a bath. Okay. All right.
But I see the farmer's face.
Yeah. I can't really tell what emotion he's feeling right now, but yeah. So I wonder what's going to happen if the duck is like taking a bath or something. So our farmer looks like he's waving at something, so maybe our duck just flew away. Okay, so maybe our duck just flew away. Oh, yep. So what I'll do now is we have one more minute. So let's take a look at this picture, and I'm going to try to describe it. So this duck is flying, and I'm wondering if he's like abandoning the farmer because, his crops died, so maybe the duck doesn't have food, or maybe the duck is out to go find food. We'll figure this out tomorrow because now my third group is coming in and we will finish our picture walking prediction tomorrow. Okay, guys? So, at this time, you have come to your lunch break, and I know it's very early. You're like, oh my God, Mrs. Nagy, it's only 9:30. Why we got lunch? Well, remember, we still got to get through math and science and Old Yeller before 12:30. So right now, you have a 30-minute lunch break. That means all of you are coming back to me at 10 o'clock. All right, so today's lesson is Go Math Lesson 1.2 in your textbooks, but remember, just keep your textbooks closed because we may or may not use them today. What you will need for this lesson, though, is paper, a pencil, and potentially your Go Math textbook. We will begin by doing our 15-minute interactive. So I will begin the interactive, and as we are doing it, I will pull your name to make sure, one, that you are focused, but that you can also understand the questions and follow along with me. So our lesson today is called, How Can You Round Numbers? Now, I want to get a show of hand. Who's ever learned how to round to the tens and the hundreds place? It's something you often learn in second grade, okay? So it's something very simple. It's rounding to the tens and the hundreds place that we're going to learn today.
Hi there. I'm excited today. There's going to be an air show. Check out that old biplane. How high do you think a biplane can fly? Click the biplane to find out. Wow! After takeoff, the biplane was 376 feet above the ground.
Okay, I will make sure
why don't
that
we
your
round
mics are
that
muted.
number
Okay, guys,
to find out about how high the biplane was after takeoff? I think we can use a number line to round 376 to the nearest hundred.
So yes,
Come along with me
today
to
I'll be
find out
teaching you how to round from the tens and the hundreds place, but our method will be using a number line.
When you round a number, you find a number
Hold on, because I hear someone's mic not muted. Okay, make sure your mics are muted because if they're not, other people can't understand what they're hearing.
tells you about how much or about how many. Mia's baseball bat is 33 inches long. What is its length rounded to the nearest 10 inches?
So I want to pause right here. I'm going to grab out my board. So what I do with my students is I don't want you to get the answer first and not understand. So I'm going to write on my board 33 inches, and I'm going to start calling on you guys to show me how to round this to the tens place. So who wants to help me out in rounding 33 to the nearest tens place? Who can tell me which number is in the tens place? Gabriella, can you tell me what number is in the tens place?
It's the first three.
It's the first three. So in Mrs. Nagy's class, when we round and they ask us which place value we're rounding to, we're going to underline that number. Then we are going to look at our next door neighbor. So who is our three's next door neighbor? Zalia. So
3.
It's a 3, right? Now I got a question for you guys. Is a 3 bigger or smaller than a 5? Who can answer that? Is a 3 bigger or smaller than a 5? Soraya. Okay, so she says smaller. She's absolutely right. So I'm going to tell you the rule that I tell my students. It's one of the easiest rules in the world. 5 or more, add 1 more. 4 or below, no more. And I'm going to show you how, okay? So our next door neighbor is a 3. We just agreed that that's smaller than 5. So 4 or below, no more. So that 3, we don't add anything to it. And then anything after that line becomes a, who can tell me what this 3 is now going to turn to? Quentin.
A 4.
It's actually, who can help him out? Good try, Quentin. But it's actually 4 or less, no more, okay? So, Drake, can you help Quentin out? What is that 3 that we just erased going to turn into?
A 2?
It's not going to turn into a 2, so I want to see how you guys are going to answer this. Thank you, Drake. Who would like to help Drake? What is that 3 going to turn into? Noah.
A 5.
All right, so it doesn't become a 5. So I'm actually glad that we're going over this lesson because this was probably a lesson you missed when COVID hit, okay? So always remember that when we underline the place value, anything after this line becomes a 0, okay? It becomes a 0, and I'm going to show you how in our interactive video today. So that was kind of like an assessment to see if you guys knew how to round, but I'm pretty sure that that was a lesson you missed when school got canceled. So at this time, please mute your mic.
You can use a number line to round 33 to the nearest 10.
Okay, so she's going to show you how.
Place 33 on the number line.
Okay, so if we have our number line here, we have 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. The reason why they're counting by tens is because it's asking us to round to the nearest tens. If it asked us to the nearest hundreds, it would count by hundreds, okay? So it often counts by 10. Now, she's going to show you a different way that she does it, but when it is time for Mrs. Nagy to show you the video off of our YouTube channel, my way is just going to be a lot easier and it's going to save a lot of time, okay? So her question here says, you can use a number line to round 33 to the nearest tens. So we know that 33, right? If we look at 33, we would underline the number in the tens place, which would be this 3 right here. And then we will look to our neighbor, and since our neighbor is smaller than 5, this 3 would stay the same, and this 3 will become a 0, and she's going to show you how.
Look for the tens that 33 is between. 33 is between 30 and 40. Is 33 closer to 30 or 40?
Okay, so I'm going to pause her right there. So what I'm going to also teach you today with the number line is that when we place the number they're asking for on the number line, you will then make jumps, and the smallest jump would be what we round it to, okay? So who can tell me which number, 30 or 40, is 33 closer to? Is 33 closer to 30 or is 33 closer to 40? Someone, let's see, who would like to answer that? Zalia, which number is 33 closer to, 30 or to 40?
It's closer to 33.
Okay, so 33, I knew you wanted to say 30. So if we were to make a jump here, this jump would be smaller than the jump to 40. So 33 is closer to 30, okay? And she'll show you how in a minute. Here we go. All right.
3 is closer to 30 than it is to 40.
Okay.
Round 276 to the nearest 100. You can use a number line to round 276 to the nearest 100.
Okay, I'm going to pause. So once again, we're going to work through this. I'm going to write on my board the number 276. So who can tell me which number she wanted us to round to? What area are we rounding to the tens or to the hundreds place? Who would like to answer that? Noah?
The hundreds place.
Good. So if we got the number 276, which number is in the hundreds place?
2.
The 2, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to underline the 2. So that tells me that when I round this, every number after the line is going to be 0. But first we got to check our next door neighbor. Who's our next door neighbor? Who can tell me who's our next door neighbor to that 2? Ashlyn.
7.
The 7. Is 7 bigger or smaller than 5?
Bigger.
All right, so we agree that 7 is bigger than 5. So 5 or more, add 1 more. This is what you will do. You will erase that 2. And what's 1 more than 2?
1 more than 3.
It's 3, right? And then what did Miss Nagy said happens to every single number after the line? It becomes a what?
A 0.
So every single number after that line becomes a 0. So what does 276 round to the hundredths place?
300.
300. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to do that on a number line because they try to confuse you and Miss Nagy tries to make it simple. So I'm going to put the number 276 again on my board. I'm going to make a really easy number line. And you'll notice that with the number line she has, she's going to count 100, 200, 300. No, that's a waste of time, okay? What Miss Nagy does is she takes the first place value, which is a 2, and that tells me that 2 is 200, right? So she's going to start her number line at 200, and then she's going to end her number line at 300 because that's the next hundredths place, okay? So we don't have to put all those tally marks. Then she's going to find the middle of that number line.
Half of 100. It's 50.
It's 50. So what's 200 plus 50? If we got to go to the middle, what's 250? Or
150.
it's 250. So now what we need to do is find out where 276 goes on our number line, okay? So is 276 bigger than 250? What do you think? Who would like to answer that? Is 276 bigger than 250? Ashlyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know that we're going to put the 260 somewhere around here, right? Okay, so we put our point. We got 260. The last step that we need to do is make pretty much like jumps, okay? So I'm going to take 260 and I'm going to make a jump to 300. That's a pretty small jump, okay? Then I'm going to make a jump from 276 to 200. Who could tell me which jump is smaller? Cervantes, can you tell me which jump is smaller? 200 to 276 or 276 to 300?
The one to 250 is at 300 or whatever.
Right? So we can all agree 260, the jump from 260 to 300 is smaller. And what did we say in the beginning 276 rounds to? 300. Okay, so now we're going to do our interactive video. But I just wanted to show you guys that because she's going to try to confuse you and I'm going to try to help you out, okay? All right.
Place 276 on the number line.
Okay, pause. You see how she did all that extra work for nothing? You didn't need that extra 100, okay? There's no point in that. You just always go by the smallest place value. So since there's a 2 in the hundreds place, you just start out with 200. You don't even need 400. I don't know why they do that.
Find the hundreds 276 is between. 276 is between 200 and 300. It's closer to 300 than to 200, so 276 rounded to the nearest hundred is 300.
Yeah, because she didn't do it, but you would see that if we did a jump from here to here, it'd be very small, but the jump from 276 to 200 would be way bigger. Okay, so 276 is closer to 300.
Round 72 to the nearest 10.
Okay, so you guys are going to walk me through this one. So Miss Nagy's not going to do nothing. You guys are going to walk me through this. You're going to tell me what 72 rounds to. So I got my number line. Who can tell me what number is in the tens place? Who can tell me? Noah, what number is in the tens place?
The 7.
We all agree it's the 7. So since the 7 is in the tens place, what does that 7 actually equal? Does it equal 7 or 70?
70.
It equals 70. So what am I starting my number line with? What number am I starting my number line?
With 70.
There we go. We didn't need to. Did we need to do 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70? Did we need to do that? No. Okay, so if we're counting by tens, what is my number line going to end at? What is it going to end at? If I got 70 here, what is this number going to be at the end of the number line? Quinton, can you help us out? What is my number line going to end in?
80.
There we go. And then Quinton, what is half of 10?
5.
It's 5. So what's 70 plus 5? What's 70 plus 5? Because that's the middle of our line. What's 70 plus 5?
75.
There you go, right? Because in order to find the halfway point in the line, we got to figure out our place value and what's half of it, okay? All right, so now that we have our number line, we got 70, 75, and 80, and we're trying to figure out what 72 rounds to. Where is my 72 going to go on my number line? Is it going to go between 70 and 75 or 75 and 80? Who wants to answer that? Emily, can you tell me where my number is going to? Because I need everybody to participate. Between 70 and 75, okay? So now all I got to do is make my jumps, okay? So I'm going to start here on 72, and I'm going to jump to 70. That's a pretty small jump, right? Now I'm going to start at 72, and I'm going to jump all the way to 80. Which jump is smaller? Amani, can you tell me which jump is smaller?
72.
Right? Okay. So this is the smaller jump. So what does 72 round to? It rounds to 70, okay? It rounds to 70 because when you do the number line, you choose the smallest jump, okay? All right. Here we go.
You can use place value to do this. When you round a number, you find a number that tells you about how much or about how many. In this case, you want to round the number in the tens place.
Okay, so we all agree 7 was in the
To
tens
see
place.
if 72 is closer to 70 or to 80. Look at the digit in the ones place.
To 2.
Is the digit in the ones place greater than?
Okay, so she's just pretty much going to tell you what I told you. Just remember this rule. 5 or more, add 1 more. 4 or below, no more. So we know that 2 is smaller than 5, so nothing's going to happen to that 0, but that 2, or nothing's going to happen to that 7, but that 2 is going to become a 0. And it would have been a lot easier
Or less
to learn
than
in the
5.
class. Okay?
2
Good.
is less than 5.
Mm-hmm.
When the digit is less than 5, the digit in the rounding place stays the same. So use 7 as the tens digit. Use 0 as the ones digit. The number 72 is closer to 70 than to 80.
It is.
So 72 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70. Let's try rounding to the nearest 100.
Okay. Here we go again. So prepare to walk me through it, guys. You guys are going to help me figure out what 379 rounded to the nearest 100 is. So I'm going to write 379 on my board. I'm going to make a pretty small number line. Now, who can tell me which number in 379 is in the hundreds place? Drake, which number is in the hundreds place?
The 300.
Well, the 3, right? The 3? Okay. So if the 3 is in the hundreds place, what does that 3 actually equal?
300.
Yep, because it's in the third place. So what is my number line starting at? So if that 3 is in the hundreds place and that 3 equals 300, what am I starting my number line with? 300. So if we are counting by 100, what's 300 plus 100? Who can tell me? Wilfred?
400.
It's 400. So what is my number line ending in? You got it. Yep, it's ending in 400 because we're counting by 100. Now, who can tell me what is half of 100?
4.
It's 50, right? Because if we add 50 plus 50, that equals 100. So 50 is a half of 100. So what is 300 plus 50? Who could tell me that? Ashlyn, what's 300 plus 50?
350.
There we go.
350.
350. So now we got the beginning of our line, we got the middle of our line, and we got the end of our line. So we got the number 379. Who can tell me where 379 is going to be in between? Is it going to be in between 300 and 350 or 350 and 400? So Quentin, you're right. 379 falls in between 350 and 400. So now, all I gotta do is make my jumps. I'm gonna make my jump from 379 to 400. And then I'm gonna make my jump from 379 to 300. Who can tell me which jump is smaller? Cervantes, can you tell me which jump is smaller? So is 379, is the jump between 379 to 400 smaller?
Yeah.
Yep. So we look towards the smaller jump. So that means 379 rounds to 400, okay? Because the jump is smaller. So I wish that we were in class to do this. So she's pretty much going to show you right here what we just did. She's going to let you know that 379 rounds to 400.
Case, you want to round the number in the hundreds place.
So, 100
To see if 379 is closer to 300 or to 400. Look at the digit in the tens place. Is the digit in the tens place greater than 5 or less than 5?
Okay, so we know that 7 is bigger than 5. So 5 or more, add 1 more. So we would take that 3 and add 1 more to it, making it a 4. And then everything after that would become a 0. That's why it equals 400.
7 is greater than 5. When the digit is greater than 5, the digit in the rounding place goes up by 1. Use 4 as the hundreds digit. Use 0 as the tens and ones digits. The number 379 is closer to 400 than to 300. So 379 rounded to the nearest hundred is 400.
Yep, super easy.
Here's a problem for you to try. Locate and label 53 on the number line and round to the nearest 10. Drag the arrow to show 53 on the number line.
Okay, so pretty much you'll take this, and we know that they're counting by 10. So this tells us this middle one right here is 55. So we know that 53 is less than 55, right? So we're going to put our little marker there.
53 is between 50 and 60. 53 is...
Now, if we were to do our jumps, we would make a jump from 53 to 50 and then 53 to 60. And we know, based off of our eyesight, that the jump between 53 to 50 would be smaller. Therefore, it would be
closer to 50 than it is to 60. So 53 rounded to the nearest 10 is 50.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's practice with the personal.
So before I move on, because I know that was a lot, raise your hand. You know what? Let's take a little tally. Using your fingers on a scale from 1 to 10, let me know how confident you are you can round using the number line. Okay? Give me kind of like a, okay, so I'm seeing a lot of 4s and a lot of 5s. Good. Okay, so I know that was tricky, but now what we're going to do is we are now going to watch a video of Mrs. Nagy doing it, and she's going to simplify it a little bit for you, okay? And we will definitely not be having small group today because we have too much we got to do. So at this time, I want everybody to be muted, and we're going to watch a video of Mrs. Nagy pretty much showing you how to round from the tens and the hundreds place, okay? We will not watch this whole video. We'll just do the first question. We'll watch the first question. Welcome back, boys and girls, to Mrs. Nagy's class. In today's video, we will be talking about rounding to the tens place and to the hundreds place. We will be using the strategy of a number line today, and I will show you the very easy process of rounding to the tens place and the hundreds place using a number line. So today we will be rounding the number 346. If our question or our textbook tells us to round 346 to the tens place, then what we do is we identify the number that is in the tens place. For 346, since we know the place values is the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place, we now know that the 4 is in the tens place. So we are going to underline the 4. Now, when I show you how to round to the tens place using a number line, we start off with the number line with the number that is in the place value that we're asking to find. Do not start your number line at 0. That is a waste of time in making all those tally marks. So what I mean is if we look at our number 346 and we're looking for the number in the tens place, we have a 4. So that means this 4 actually equals 40. So we're going to put the number 40 here. Then we are going to end our number line with the next number in that place value. So since this place value is 10, we're going to be counting by tens. So if we start out at 40, what's 40 plus 10? We know it's 50. What we did here is we saved ourselves the ridiculous amount of work starting at the number 0 and counting by hundreds. No. You only go by the place value that you are working with. Your next step is to find the middle of this line. For the sake of all purposes, that is the middle. Now we try to find out what is half of the place value that we're counting by. So if we're counting by the tens place or the number 10, we half that, and what is half of 10? That is 5. So we take this number and add 5 to it, making it 40 plus 5 equals 45. Okay? So now that we go back to our number, we're trying to see how we round 346 to the tens place. So I'm going to circle the two numbers that come after the tens place, which is 46. Now this is your option. You can either break the line down into 4 portions, because we know that when we count, it'll equal 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, apology. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you would like to do that, you may. If it's easier for some of you, if you don't need the tallies, you can just find out where the number 46 would lie on this chart or this number line. So we now know that this is where number 46 lands. Your final step is to do what is called jumps. What I mean by that is you are going to take your writing utensil and you're going to make a jump to the beginning of the number line. You're going to make an additional jump to the end of the number line from the number you marked on the number line. Your final step is to see which jump is actually smaller. And if you notice, our jump from 46 to 40 is bigger than 46 to 50, meaning that 46 would round up to 50. Now that we know that, we're going to make a clean copy of our number. We are going to put the number 3. And I teach you all that 5 below, add 1, or 5 above, add 1 more, 4 or less stays the same. So we know that 6 is 5 or more, so that 4 becomes a 5. And anything after the line becomes a 0. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop there, okay? So I know that I was talking very slow in this video, but I was just trying to explain to you how easy this method is, okay? We're going to take a 10-minute break, okay? And we're going to come back at 11 to start our science, okay? So take a break. Ooh, I don't know about you guys, but I am tired. I'm tired.
You're not at home?
No, I'm not at home. I'm in our classroom. All the teachers are in class. We can't stay at home. Look.
Oh.
Look, we're in the classroom. Okay? We're in the classroom.
When are we going to go back to school?
Hopefully August 5th, or not August 5th, sorry, October 5th. Because I'm sorry, but teaching virtually is just too hard. I'd rather be in front of you guys. But I'm tired, man. After this, I'm going to go buy the biggest cup of coffee. Man, giant. And I'm going to put like 20 packs of sugar.
Why do you love coffee so much?
I think it's delicious. I told you guys, I didn't have my first cup of coffee until I was 9. And I was living in Puerto Rico, and it was my grandmother who made it for me. It was like she opened up a whole nother world with that one cup of coffee. It was amazing, and I never went back. So yesterday we were talking about forces, right? We were talking about push and we were talking about pull. And we know that when we push someone or we push something, it's away from us. And when we pull, we're bringing something to us, okay? So our self-assessment today, you're going to use your 5 fingers. On a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you think you understand push and pull? Give me my survey right now. How well do you think you understand push and pull? Okay, I got about 5s. Good job. You know what? You make me feel like I'm a good teacher. Okay, so our essential question today is, what effect does a force have on the motion of an object? So in other words, what happens to an object when we push it? Who can tell me? What happens to an object when we push it? Jamarcus?
Gravity is going to pull it back.
Oh, no. When we push it, not gravity, but when we push something, what happens to the object? It goes...
They fall. They on the floor.
It pretty much just goes away from us, right? It goes away from us. So if I was to put, like, let's look at this board, right? If I was to take this board and I push it, is it coming near me or away from me?
It's away from you.
It's away from me, but what if I pull it? What if I pull it? It's coming near me. Okay? So that's push and pull. We're going to kind of skip the KWL charts because you guys pretty much already told me. But let's discuss who wants to tell us what they would like to learn about push and pull forces. So, Gabriella, you can share, then Drake, then Connor. Jamarcus, I'm going to have you mute yourself, sweetie.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Gabriella, what's something you want to learn about push and pull?
On push and pull, I want to learn how, like, when you push something up the hill, but you don't really make it back up, why does gravity pull it back down?
Well, that's just the way that gravity works. I don't know the specifics of gravity. I just know that gravity pulls things to the center of the earth, okay? Or it pulls things to the earth, okay? All right, thank you, Gabriella. Quentin. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry, Quentin. It was Drake next, and then you can go, Quentin. So it was Drake and then Quentin. Thank you.
So if you're pulling something, and you said, gravity or whatever pulls things back, like, it pulls things back if you're going up. So I'm pulling, say I'm on a hill.
Yeah.
And they're downhill, and I'm right there. And I'm on top of the hill. And I'm pulling them up to me. How? Wait, what?
Okay, so you're fighting gravity. Okay, so what he's saying is he's on top of the mountain, right? And there's someone on the bottom of the mountain. You know what? Let's do it kind of like this. You know, like a well. You know, like the water or whatever in a well. You know how you're at the top of a well and the water's down. And so if you take the bucket and you lift it up towards you, it's heavy, not just because there's water in it, but because you're also fighting gravity, because gravity wants to push that water back down. So you're fighting against gravity, but you're stronger than gravity, okay? Because look, there's a book in my hand, and gravity, if I was to drop this book right now, gravity would take it to the floor. But if you notice, I'm fighting against gravity right now. Okay? And I'm stronger than gravity. All right, does anyone else want to tell us what they would like to... Oh, Quentin, you want to tell us what you would like to know about gravity?
So, there is a superhero that does have force push and force pull.
Who?
And what will we have without gravity?
Everything would fly away. Okay? Everything would fly away if we did not have gravity. Okay, Connor?
Okay.
Like, I know it sounds cool. Give me 1 second, Connor. I know it sounds cool to be like, oh, I'm floating. There's no gravity. But imagine there's no gravity and there's a plane going by and you're floating. You're going to go into the plane. And that's going to be really, really sad because you're probably not going to make it. Okay? All right, Connor, you want to share?
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, like when you, I want to learn how people who like push the roller coaster with a machine.
Oh, you mean like the mechanics? Ooh, I'm so excited you brought that up because one of our lessons later on in the week about push and pull is about careers in push and pull. So people who deal with that. So some people who work in push and pull careers are people who do the mechanics of a roller coaster. Okay? So save that for the lesson when we talk about the careers. Okay? Thank you, Connor. All right, guys, mute your mics and then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay. So I'm now going to read page 4 and 5 out of our motions, push and pull, fast and slow book. Okay, so changing places. You run to catch the school bus. The bus rolls down the road. 3 branches sway in the breeze. An airplane flies up in the sky. Anything that goes from one place to another is motion. And fun fact, there are all kinds of words to describe motion. You can run, walk, jump, dance, swim, slide, skate, birds soaring, snakes slithering, monkeys swinging from tree to tree. What other motion words can you think of? So what other words can we think of that describes motion? Connor, and then Jamarcus. What other words can we use to describe motion? In essence, just moving.
I don't really know. Like maybe he walk running.
Okay, maybe so speed walking. Okay, Jamarcus, you want to give us a word that describes motion?
Flying an airplane.
So let's say flying in general, right? Because anything that flies, that's considered motion. Drake, and then finally Cervantes. Drake, you want to give us a motion word?
So, I play football, and before every game, we have a hill. We have a very tall hill, and we will always run it up a bit, and then we would, at when we get close to the top, we would just, we would go a little bit slower because gravity is a little bit fighting.
Yep. You're absolutely right. So he's mentioning the word running, pretty much. All right, thank you, Drake, Cervantes, and then Jamarcus. I see your hand. So Cervantes, what's a motion word?
Jogging.
Jumping. Good job. Thank you. And finally, Jamarcus. Running. Okay. And I'm surprised none of you talked about all those dances that you do on like Fortnite. Those are all motion because you're dancing.
Fortnite dances.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to mute you, Jamarcus. Okay. So motion just means moving. It's as simple as that. Okay. Push and pull forces. A force is a push or a pull on an object. You push a snowball when you throw it, or you push a soccer ball when you kick it because it's going away from you. On a cold day, you might pull on a hat or pull up the zipper of your jacket. Push and pull forces can act on you too. If a snowball hits you, it pushes against you with force because it's coming near you. Everything on Earth, including you, is pulled toward the ground by the force of gravity. The strength of a force is measured in units of Newton, okay? They just say Newton because the man who discovered gravity was Isaac Newton. All right, so we're going to watch a supporting video on force, work, and energy, and then we're going to talk about all the different ways that we saw him using push and pull forces. It's kind of a funny video. I like it because he goes through some shenanigans pushing that cart. So remember, your task is to try to identify all the pushing and pulling forces.
Our topic for today is force, work, and energy.
Oops, sorry, I paused it.
Force is the push or pull applied on an object. It can move a stationary object or stop a moving object. Force can also change the speed and direction of a moving object. If enough force is applied, it can also change the shape or size of an object. When force is applied on an object, resulting in the movement of that object, work is said to be done. Work can be calculated using the formula work done is equal to force into distance. The ability or the capacity to do work is called energy.
Okay, so I'm going to stop here because we're not getting into energy and all that stuff yet. But I want to talk about all of the different ways that this kid experienced push and pull. Okay? So I'll kind of like start you guys off. He was pulling the pumpkin off of the ground. So who can tell me some of the ways that he experienced push and pull? Gabriella?
He was pulling the box with his bag, then he fell back.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Drake, you want to add to that? What did you see with pushing and pulling?
He was getting pushed and pulled also, because when the pumpkin in the cart, it got pulled down from the hill.
Yeah, so not only
and then he kept on having to run for it.
Yeah, so not only was forces working where he was pushing forces, but they were pushing him too. Yes, Drake. So Quentin, what were some push and pull that you saw?
He was pushing the box out of the web so he can like move it. But then for some reason he fell in and then he started falling.
Right? Okay, does anyone else want to tell us kind of like what push and pull they saw in that video? Okay, so we saw a lot. That poor kid went through so much trying to just get that pumpkin somewhere where he needed to. I mean, it got to the point where he was rolling in a box. That poor kid. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our slide. Okay, so now I'm going to read this and then we'll be moving on to our next slide. You experience forces all the time. Some forces are strong and some forces are weak. Some forces can be seen, such as when a bulldozer pushes dirt or a dog pulls on its leash. Some forces can't be seen, such as when gravity pulls your pencil off your desk and it falls. You can see the pencil fall, but you cannot see gravity. Whenever something moves or work is done, a force acts on it. So pulling your weight lab. We're now gonna do this lab, and my students absolutely love this lab. So it's like interactive, and we have to pretty much get this dude to push and pull the most weight that he can. Okay. So I kind of hear someone's mic unmuted. Can you please mute? And then I'm gonna call on you guys to tell me like what I need to do. Okay. These are fun. So it says the world's strongest person contest is a popular event around the world. One event involves pushing or pulling heavy objects a certain distance. The event committee has asked you to help them find out how to make it hardest to move a heavy object. So the person you're about to make move something, he's strong, but you got to make it hard for him to move the object, okay? To help the committee, you will need to consider and collect data on several things. The type of surface across which the object is going to move, the size and the shape of the object being moved, the mass, meaning, how much it weighs, and which is harder, pushing or pulling. So we get options, okay? So we're going to do level 1, and it's really fun. We're going to do level 1. I don't know, we're just going to put Nagy. All right. So our goal here is to make it hard for this man to pick something up, okay? So we're going to start off with the first try, okay? So here goes newtons. That's how much force is being applied to pick up something. So we're going to make him move, let's say, a boulder or something on shiny tile, and it weighs 230 kilograms, and he's going to push it instead of pulling. Let's see how heavy that object is. So he didn't use a lot of energy, okay? So we're trying to make him shoot this bar all the way to 800 to see what would be heaviest, okay? So who would like to tell me, because we're gonna do it together. So what we'll do is we'll start over. So the options are shiny tile, carpet, and gravel. And remember, we're trying to make it hard for this dude to push that boulder. So give me a thumbs up if you want him to push something onto gravel. Give me a thumbs up. And like gravel is like rocks, okay? Or give me a thumbs up if you want him to move something on carpet. Who wants to move? So we kind of got gravel. We're going to put gravel, and we're going to see if we can shoot that bar up a little bit higher. Now we have 230 kilograms, 450 kilograms, and 680 kilograms. Raise your hand if you want him to push something that is 450 kilograms. Okay, let's try, who wants him to push something that's 680 kilograms? Hold on. Okay, so we got 680. All right. And then do we want him to push low? Because, sometimes we push things low. Do we want him to pull high or pull low? Okay, so give me a show of hands if you want him to push low. Do we want him to push low? Okay, not many. Do we want him to push high? Okay, remember, we're trying to make it hard for this dude. Okay? All right, so you guys said push high. All right. Let's push high. So this should shoot all the way up, right? Because we're trying to get to 800. Okay, so we got to about 300. So now we're going to do the opposite, okay? So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to make him push something on carpet that is 450, and we're going to make him push low. So the opposite of what you guys just did. So which one was better, Mrs. Nagy's or yours? Which your guys's was better because you exerted 200 newtons more than what I did. Congratulations, you beat Mrs. Nagy. All right, so I'm going to go back to the slide. So now all we're going to do is discuss about pretty much pretty much, did we learn something new today? So did we learn something new today about push and pull? What do you think?
Yes.
Wait, who? Okay, Gabriella, tell us what you learned.
I learned that when you're pushing, the most biggest option that we did right now, that's 600 and something kilograms.
Yes. Okay, so Noah, come here right quick because I want you to do a demonstration, okay? I want you to pick up your water bottle, Noah, because everybody can see you. So today in our lesson, they mentioned that a force can be strong and it can be weak, okay? So Noah, I want you to gently, not all the way, I want you to gently squeeze your bottle, okay? I want you to gently squeeze it, okay? So he's not applying much force, okay? Now I want you to crush your bottle. I want you to crush it, if you can, okay? So he's applying way more force, okay? So think of it like this. If you were noticing someone about to fight and they're just pushing each other, some of them could be pushing gently, or when they're like really ready to fight, they start pushing each other aggressively. So forces can be weak and forces can also be strong. All right, so that is our science lesson for today. We are now going to read our final page and a half of Old Yeller, and then we're going to be done, guys. Okay, so yesterday when we were reading, he was just still out hunting. He didn't find deer yet or anything like that, so we're just going to pick up where we left off. The squirrels were running and jumping and chattering and flashing their tails in the sunlight. One would run along a tree branch, then take a flying leap to the next tree branch. There it would sit fussing, and wait to see if the second one had the nerve to jump that far. When the second squirrel did, the first one would set up an excited chatter and make run for a longer leap. Sure enough, after a while, the leader tried to jump a gap that was too wide. And he missed his branch, clawing at some leaves, and came tumbling to the ground. The second squirrel went to dancing up and down on his branch, then chattering louder than ever. It was plain that he was getting a big laugh out of how that showed-off squirrel had made such a fool of himself. The sight was so funny that I laughed myself, and that's where I made a mistake. Where the doe, remember doe is a deer and that's what he's hunting, where the doe had come from and how she ever got so close without seeing me, I don't know. It was like she suddenly lit down out of the air like a buzzard or risen right up out of the bare ground around the rocks. Anyhow, there she stood, staring right at me, sniffing and snorting and stomping her feet against the ground. She couldn't have scented me, and I hadn't moved, but I had laughed out loud a little at those squirrels, and that sound had warned her. Well, I couldn't lift my gun then, with her staring straight at me. She'd see the motion and take a scare. And while Papa was a good enough shot, too, down a running deer, I never tried it and didn't much think I could. I figured it was smarter to wait. Maybe she'd quit staring at me after a while and give me a chance to lift my weapon. But I waited and waited, and still she kept looking at me, trying to figure me out. Finally, she started coming towards me. She'd take one dancing step and then another and bob her head and flap her long ears about, then started moving towards me again. I didn't know what to do. It made me nervous the way she kept coming at me. Sooner or later, she was bound to make out what I was. Then she'd whirl and be gone before I can draw on her. She kept doing me that way till finally my heart was flopping around in my chest like a catfish. I could feel my muscles tightening up all over. I knew then that I couldn't wait any longer. It was either shoot or bust wide open, so I whipped my gun up to my shoulder. Like I figured, she snorted and wheeled so fast that she was just a brown blur against my gunshot. I pressed the trigger, hoping my aim was good. Okay, we're going to stop there. So we're going to try to figure out tomorrow if he actually got his deer. Okay? So that was our reading for today. What we'll do now is I am just going to say that you guys did an excellent job today. We had a few hiccups. Other than that, I wish you all the best of the rest of your day, and I hope you have a wonderful day, guys. Bye-bye, guys.